Dan Mangan, you're back after 6 years with a new record, more or less, and in the interim you've had some children, and I'm wondering how the process of having children and being a dad has affected, in particular, the songwriting of what you do.
Well, I mean, I think kids definitely raise the stakes in your personal, emotional life. Everything becomes a bit more intense, and you start to question. I feel like when I had kids, my existential questions about my own existence kind of went away, and I had this valuable thing to put my worries and fears into. You know what I mean? So it's like it was less about why am I here, and more about like how can I make things good for them. And I think that's definitely worked their way into the songs. And I've never shied away from politics in my music, and I've always had a bit of an edge in the sort of societal criticism or whatever. And I think that in some ways, it has intensified that because I'm just concerned about the world for them, and I want to make sure that they're prepared. I'm more ready to be a bit more earnest, I think, and also ready to have my knives out and be like, look, this pisses me off, and that pisses me off. You know?
I feel like Just Fear is sort of the perfect example of that, where there's a concern for your kids, but there's a concern for the world, and you can complain about what you're not happy with, but it's for their sake and their future and all of that.
Yeah. It was interesting, like songwriting from a sort of utilitarian element, or when you're actually doing it. You're focusing on it for a sort of emotional message. You want to convey a concept or an idea or a thought, but at the same time, the more you do it, the more you sort of start to whittle away at the functionality of each part of it. And there was a moment there where I was writing the chorus, and the chorus is when the whole world's unraveling, it's just fear messing with us. But there was a moment there where I wasn't sure, should it be, well, it's just fear messing with you, or should it be, it's just fear messing with me, or it's just fear messing with them, or and I think settling on just fear messing with us was an important thing because, and it's funny how you change one word in a song, and the whole feeling of the whole song, it sets the tone for all of the other lyrics in a different way. And it's because if I was to be honest with myself, even the people that I disagree with the most politically or something, that I feel are in charge of all of the world's, or many of the world's evils, fear is driving them too.
These songs are coming from a really vulnerable place. I know you've never really shied away from that particularly, but does it feel like it's kind of risky to put yourself out there like that?
There is a moment, if it's one of those things where it's like you kind of hesitate and then you do it and you feel good after, and I believe that songs, just like any other art form, and I've used this analogy before, but it's like a smoke signal. You put it up in the air and you say, this is how I feel. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. And the more vulnerable and authentic and raw that feeling is, the more pervasive it can be. And somebody else a million miles away might see that smoke signal and they would go, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. I never articulated it like that, but there is a common bond. And then so what happens is that both the sender and the receiver in this sort of cosmic sense are less existentially alone because they have found a kindred concept or a kindred thought in somebody else.